Medicaid is broke. Medicare is broke. Social Security is broke. And you want us to believe that a government that can't even run a cash for clunkers program is going to run 1/7 of our U.S. economy. No, sir. No.
Tax data now speaking out in droves. Taxpayers demanding answers at a Pennsylvania town hall on health care yesterday with Health and Human Services Secretary Kathleen Sebelius and Democratic Senator Arlen Specter. Did they get answers? The folks asking those questions with us now. Joey Taylor, whose question you just heard. Robert Mitchell's also here, whose question you will hear in a minute. Joey, did they answer your question?
Not really. He answered it basically by saying that there are 50 million uninsured, and the same answer that they give to everyone, that they're trying to get everyone insured and under the system. Right. And then they were shouted down, of course. Yeah, we're going to get some of that. This is Specter trying to answer your question. Let's listen to this again, Joe.
Short, ladies and gentlemen, of sticking with the current system, which doesn't cover 47 million people. That's a lie. Which has health care rising, which has insurance companies eliminating pre-existing conditions. With a lot of red tape, you have a president who has organized a system to improve the situation.
Well, Joey, I don't know if he answered your question, did he?
Not really.
Okay. And he fell back on that $47 million number.
The $47 million uninsured. Yeah, you guys don't buy that math. And Robert, I want to get to you, but you're just not buying that figure because you think it's inflated, right?
No. Well, it's inflated by the number of illegal aliens who are being counted in that number, and by a number of young people who don't want or don't need health insurance.
Okay, now, Robert, you had a chance to ask a question. This is how that went. This is from this rally yesterday. Take a look.
When congressmen scoff at the notion of reading legislation because they aren't qualified or they aren't competent to understand it, how can we be confident that those congressmen are competent to re-engineer the entire health care system?
All right, well, you guys are making friends left and right. The Secretary Sebelius tried to answer that. Robert, I want your thoughts on this response. This is from the Secretary.
I am not a member of Congress, have never been. That's just a fact. I'm just telling you. My observation is I have never seen members of Congress work harder on it. It is unacceptable to me for somebody to hours and hours and hours and hours have been spent. If people say they haven't read the legislation, then tell them to go back and read it.
We do.
It's available.
All right. She's a former governor, as you know, Robert. She's a health secretary now. You didn't buy the argument. What did you make of it?
Well, no. I mean, her response started out almost disclaiming any kind of knowledge of what's going on in Congress because she's not a congressperson. But then she jumps in and talks about how hard they're working. My question wasn't about whether or not they're working hard. It's whether or not they were competent to re-engineer the entire health care system for the United States when they can't even read their own legislation.
Joey, now, the crowd there seemed very worked up. I mean, the people were shouting. Were they typical of the crowd? I mean, were you two typical of the sentiment in that crowd, that you were not exactly believers in this, that you had to be won over on this? How would you describe it, Joey?
You mean, I'm not sure if you're asking if I'm typical for all meetings or this one that I attended.
This one that you attended. Did most in that room share your view, share Robert's view, that they were skeptical?
Yes, very much so. It was pretty even in terms of the people that were there supporting the Obama health care plan and those that supported us.
Robert, what do you say?
Well, I think there were a lot of people there. Maybe it was half, maybe it was a little more than half, who just weren't comfortable believing what the government had to say. And going back to this 47 million figure, when you reduce it down to the number of people who have pre-existing conditions and who have issues where they can't get insurance, you're only talking about 4% of the population that have a problem, yet they're going to change the health insurance program for the other 96% of the United States.
Now, Senator Specter recently switched parties and is up for a tough re-election, and I want to get to both of you on that in a second. Tried to answer that very issue. This is his response indirectly to what you were asking.
When you have a bill, and we have a lot of them that are 1,000 pages, Mr. Tate and I pack that, and we divide up the bill. We have to make judgments very fast. We give about and every bill is read thoroughly and understood by me before I vote.
All right, so more or less what he was telling you here between the catcalls, and this is Robert to you on that he reads these things, he has read this, he is in the process of reading everything attached to it. Relax, he's on it. Do you buy it?
Well, what I heard is that he breaks it up among his staff because he has to pass it so quickly. And that's what I didn't understand, and that's why I was asking why does this have to move through so fast when it affects so many people, especially when you've got independent agencies like the Congressional Budget Office
that are saying,
that
Joey,
this isn't going to save
do you agree with
anything.
that they're moving too fast? Is that your big concern?
Well, they're moving very quickly, and they're doing it on purpose, Neil. They're throwing everything that they can at us so that we can't focus and keep track of it all. They're throwing cap and trade. They're throwing government health care. They're throwing fast track. And they're hoping that we're just going to scatter and not be able to follow any of their legislation.
Just remind me not to be a rally where you guys are in attendance. All right, but guys, thank you both very, very much. Man, oh man, huh?